I have had a secret crush on Chi for 10 years. At the wedding, the bride suddenly demanded an additional 2 million in betrothal gifts, and her mother embarrassed him until his face turned red. In a fit of anger, he turned around and proposed to me. I couldn't bear to see him humiliated in public, so I stepped in to help him out. Afterwards, he tightly held my hand. Ming Ming. I now realize that only you truly like me for who I am. I thought I had saved his life, yet. On our 8th wedding anniversary, he handed me a glass of champagne laced with deadly poison. Chihi's bride from the ear walked into our home, covering her nose. Emo. I killed her. Look, I've been enduring all these years with my head bowed, just to give you a better life. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day of the wedding, seeing Chihi looking at me with a plea for help. I shouted excitedly, true love is priceless. The 2 million must be given. Drink. The groom sure can hold his liquor. The lively and noisy sounds around me suddenly rushed into my mind. I looked around, feeling a bit dazed. Is this Chihi's wedding? In my previous life, it was at this very wedding that Chihi, in a fit of anger with the bride, proposed to me. He was the orphan child of my parents' old friends, and also my childhood sweetheart. In front of everyone, Chihi was mocked for pretending to be rich without the means, and I couldn't bear to see it. So I stepped in to help him out. I thought it was just a performance to help him out, but afterward, Chihi confessed his deep feelings to me. He said that he felt heartbroken for all the sacrifices I had made for him over the years, and he was grateful to my parents for their kindness and support, acknowledging that I was the only one who truly appreciated him. I was deeply moved, and my parents, who had always had a good impression of him since childhood, agreed to our marriage. Little did I know that from then on, the bride he never married became an indelible mark on his heart. At this moment, I watched Chihi not far away, his face flushed, clearly a bit drunk. I was breathing heavily, my fists clenched tightly. Chihi, I have a clear conscience towards you, and my parents have supported you with all their might. How could you do such ungrateful things? Stop pushing, can't you see you're bumping into people? The impatient voice beside me interrupted my train of thought. I suddenly stopped in my tracks and slowly withdrew the hand I had originally extended toward him through the crowd. In my previous life, at this moment, I would have already rushed over to shield him from the alcohol. I was always accommodating him. During our school days, I would always keep his winter breakfasts warm, tucked tightly inside my down jacket. The scarves I knitted for him were lost one after another. After we started working, I stayed up night after night, helping him brainstorm ideas. At 28, he finally found his happiness and asked if I would be willing to be his bridesmaid. Of course, I said yes. I wanted him to be happy. I thought he never knew my feelings. It wasn't until my last moments in my previous life that I heard the truth from his mocking words. Chihi knew. He had always known. He saw the kindness from the Chiao family as charity, and my affection for him as flattery. He enjoyed my devotion and trampled on my sincerity to prove his love for Bai Momo. He doesn't have to like me, he can reject me, but they just had to treat me like a clown, playing me like a fool. My nails dug deeply into my palms, the overwhelming hatred in my heart nearly drowning me. Chihi, this time, I hope you two have a happy and long-lasting marriage. Thank you, Momo. You made me understand what love is. Only you make me feel that life is happy. Please guide me for the rest of my life. My bride, Chihi held the microphone with deep affection as he confessed his feelings, while Bai Momo's eyes sparkled brightly, looking every bit like a woman enveloped in love. I had never carefully observed Chihi's emotional expression at the wedding. In my past life, by this time, I was already a bit drunk from taking drinks for him. I curled the corner of my mouth in self-mockery. The shadow I had bet my entire life to help him escape from was, in fact, the paradise in his heart. Bang. Fireworks burst open, and the cheering around grew louder. Chihi rubbed his hands together, ready to carry the bride away, but was stopped by a hand that suddenly reached out. Here it comes, finally here. I held my breath in the next moment and looked at the owner of that hand, Bai Momo's stepmother. She beamed with a smile and said, "The groom should change how he addresses us now." Chihi quickly joined in with a smile and called out in a strong, hearty voice, "Mom." The bride's mother also wore a smile as she handed over a pitifully thin red envelope. Bai Momo's family was not well off, and her mother was extremely biased in favor of sons over daughters, giving her a meager dowry, yet, she herself was perfectly content with it. Shaoqi, let me speak from the heart. Our Momo lost her father at a young age and has been pampered since childhood. Now that she's marrying you, I can't bear to part with her. When a child gets married, there needs to be some assurance to put our minds at ease, don't you think? Chihi's smile froze on his face, and he hesitantly handed over a red envelope containing 800 yuan, that was originally meant for the MC. Mom, don't worry, I will definitely treat Momo well. The bride's mother's face instantly darkened, and she began to mock Chihi in front of everyone. You, as a man, have no sense of responsibility at all, as a senior executive of a large company. I won't make things difficult for you, just give me 2 million, and we'll call it even. Originally, the agreed-upon bride price was 1.88 million, but now it had increased by 2 million. Chihi's face turned pale. Where could he possibly find those 2 million? The surrounding chatter made his clenched fists begin to tremble. He turned his head and suddenly saw me standing in the crowd. He, by Momo's fingertips, clutching her wedding dress, gradually turned pale as she spoke, pulling Chihi's gaze back to her. It was true that Chihi had a strong sense of pride, but it was also true that he loved by Momo. Otherwise, in his previous life, he wouldn't have been willing to poison me just to marry her. If it weren't for the bride's mother humiliating him to the extreme in his previous life, he wouldn't have proposed to me out of spite. The atmosphere around them grew tense. Chihi had always been at by Momo's beck and call, but he hadn't been promoted yet. That was 2 million yuan. Chihi looked at me in the crowd as if he had seen a lifeline. My family is wealthy, and I like him, and he knows it. I smiled and raised my glass to him, watching as he hurriedly rushed toward me. The groom marrying the bride has always been about overcoming numerous obstacles, and this is just the beginning. Brother-in-law, my sister is still here. Are you trying to run away from the wedding? By Momo's younger brother blocked his way with an unfriendly expression. His younger brother had always been the little tyrant at home, and at this moment, he was waiting to make a fortune from the wedding. How could he just let Chihi leave like that, in front of everyone? Chihi couldn't possibly explain that he intended to borrow money from me. He stammered, while the people around began to mock him as if watching a show. Mr. Chi, everyone is waiting for you. Do you still want to take Momo home or not? Chihi's face flushed red, and it took him a long time to finally blurt out, how can you suddenly ask for more money? What do you mean by that? Do you think we're deliberately trying to cheat you? By Momo's younger brother retorted sharply, he wants money, but how could you say it out loud? With my daughter's looks, she could easily find a CEO. The bride's mother deliberately pulled Bai Momo back, glancing sideways at Chihi's reaction. Chihi looked toward Bai Momo, and she immediately lowered her head, wiping away tears without saying a word. What kind of family is this? Chihi's low complaint angered the bride's mother, who furiously knocked over the 6-tier wedding cake that had been custom-made for the ceremony. If this daughter isn't going to marry, then so be it. Do you think our Momo can't find someone else to marry? The onlookers and those trying to mediate immediately fell into chaos. Chihi was also provoked, his gaze sharp as he looked at the bride's mother and brother, speaking through gritted teeth. We've already paid the 1.88 million dowry, and now you're going back on your word. Are you marrying off your daughter or selling her? If you don't want to marry her off, return the dowry, and we'll call it even. The bride's mother froze, standing awkwardly in place. Bai Momo suddenly looked up, tears instantly welling in her eyes as she stared at Chihi in disbelief for his harsh words. The bride's mother was also anxious. She had already accepted the 1.88 million yuan bride price, and at this point, it was impossible to return it even if they didn't get married. She still needed to buy a house for her son. She just wanted to negotiate the price a little more. How did things escalate to this point? Young man, why are you so impulsive? Is marriage a game? Are you deliberately trying to embarrass our family, just because we asked for an extra 2 million yuan for the change of address fee? You're giving up on our Momo. Bai Momo's eyes were filled with tears, looking as if she couldn't bear the blow and was about to faint. Chihi looked at his shameless mother-in-law, veins bulging on his forehead. If you're unwilling to marry her off, there are plenty of others willing to marry me. Chihi turned and walked toward the crowd. Bai Momo's gaze landed precisely on me, her eyes filled with panic. She had always known I liked Chihi. After they got together, I felt like an extra and no longer appeared in Chihi's life, but she still saw me as an enemy. Later, she wouldn't even allow normal work interactions between Chihi and me. Don't worry, Bai Momo, this time, I'm not willing to take the blame. This time I stood still. But he pushed through the crowd and eagerly walked towards me. I stood in the crowd, clapping my hands with joy and excitement. On such a joyous day, true love is priceless. Of course, the bride is the most important at the wedding. Chihi was taken aback for a moment, but still unwilling to give up. He walked over to my side, leaned down, and spoke with deep affection. Ming Ming, would you be willing? What was bound to come had finally arrived, but this time, he could forget about it. I subtly turned aside to avoid him. Brother Chi, what are you doing? We've been neighbors for so many years, and I came specifically to offer my blessings. You can't use me for wedding pranks. I laughed and playfully pushed him toward Bai Momo. Sister-in-law, look at my brother. He just loves to joke around. You two have been together for so long. How can you make such a joke? Bai Momo let out a cold snort through her nostrils, turning her head away in disgust, refusing to look at me. What do you mean by that? What do you take our Momo for? The bride's mother had a greedy expression on her face, Bai Momo remained silent, and his younger brother stood with his arms crossed, looking as if he had him completely figured out. Chi's eyes were filled with astonishment. I grew up with him, how could I not see his embarrassment? Meng, how could you? He muttered to himself, but no one in the crowd around him noticed his unusual behavior. Chi. Bai Momo couldn't help but call out and walk toward him. I took half a step back, bent down, and tightly grasped his helpless hands while shouting loudly, "Brother Chi, you must be drunk, you and your wife love each other so much, it would be such a shame to miss out, how can 2 million compare to your lifelong happiness?" Chi snapped back to reality. Yes, he loved Bai Momo so much and had given so much for her. If he missed this chance, he would regret it for a lifetime. Of course Chi loved her. After their marriage fell through in their previous life, Bai Momo married a local wealthy businessman. Not long after, Chi was promoted to the company's senior management. After the wealthy businessman went bankrupt, Chi secretly helped her with his own money countless times to maintain her glamorous lifestyle. I argued with him hysterically, and he held me tightly in his arms, comforting me. I just feel sorry for her. Be good, don't overthink it. I persuaded myself to believe him with tears in my eyes. But the money he took from home kept increasing. It's such a pity for two people who love each other so much not to be together. At this moment, the farce at Chihi's wedding had already put him on the spot. Amid the mocking laughter of the people around him, he actually felt a trace of resentment toward Bai Momo in his heart. My abrupt voice rang out in the crowd. "Brother Chi, I have an idea that might solve your problem." Chihi's eyes lit up, and he couldn't wait to speak. Meng. I knew you wouldn't. Before he could finish his sentence, I interrupted him. "If you're willing, I'll take over the house in the compound for you. It'll help you out of your immediate crisis and also serve as a congratulatory gift for you." The bride's mother, upon hearing my words, relaxed her furrowed brow and smiled warmly at me. "Whose little girl is this? You've been a great help to us, Auntie. I'm Brother Chi's colleague. He specifically asked me to come and share in the joy." I smiled with warmth and sincerity. The compound is a gathering place for high-ranking families in the capital, where land is, of course, extremely valuable. Buying it for 2 million was definitely a steal for me. Chihi has always been aloof and rarely engages in conversation with others, claiming that there will always be a place that appreciates him. After marriage, I relied on my parents' connections in the compound and my long-standing good reputation there to pave his way to success, yet he always believed it was due to his own exceptional talent. In my previous life, after he got promoted, he sold the house in the compound and secretly bought a high-end single apartment for Bai Momo after their divorce. Chi looked at me with emotion. "Thank you so much, Meng." He glanced at the card in my hand and reached out to me with a hint of embarrassment. I smiled and pulled out the sales contract I had just prepared on my phone. "Brother Chi, I'm really sorry, time is tight, and the contract is all electronic. I hope you don't mind. Take a look, and if there are no issues, please sign it." I was beaming with excitement, but Chi was stunned. "That's the house I've lived in since I was a child. Chiao Meng, you. After living there for so long." He had forgotten that my parents gave him the house out of pity. What, did he think I was joking about buying a house, and that the money was actually his, with the house still reserved for him? I didn't dedicate myself as I used to, so he felt he was at a disadvantage. How ridiculous. In my previous life, I held this contract with the intention of buying the courtyard for my parents to retire in. I had already picked out a more expensive riverside apartment in the city center for Chihi. Even if I couldn't become his bride, I still hoped he could be happy, but in this life, he won't get to live in a city center apartment. The millions will instead go to the Bai family. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but curl the corners of my mouth, yet Chi still hesitated to sign. "What's wrong, Brother Chi? Is there something unclear in the document?" Chi's lips parted slightly, but he couldn't bring himself to sign his name. "No, it's just that, you can't bear to part with it, right?" "I understand." I smiled and looked at the bride's mother. "Auntie, you see, Brother Chi is so sincere, you should give in now, right?" Bai Momo's mother lifted her head proudly. "As long as you're willing to give this money to Momo, I'll acknowledge you as my Bai family's son-in-law." "Brother Chi, what are you waiting for? The bride is getting impatient," I teased, and the people around us started to join in the fun. Chi gritted his teeth and wrote his name stroke by stroke. Meng. "Are you really going to be so clear with me, Brother Chi? What are you talking about? Didn't you agree to this yourself?" I pretended not to understand and asked, seeing him hesitate. Bai Momo grew anxious and softly urged, "Chiao Meng, don't you dare regret this." He glared at me with a sinister look in his eyes. Strange, I clearly helped him out and even saved him from a difficult situation, yet he still resents me. That's just how people are, if you're too good to them. They start taking it for granted. A little kindness is appreciated, but too much breeds resentment. But this time, you won't be able to get back up. Chihi, my good son-in-law. From now on you are like a real son to our Bai family. What a bold move. Bai Momo's mother eagerly took the card from his hand, calling him son with every breath, amid the curious gazes of the onlookers. He met Bai Momo's expectant eyes and gritted his teeth as he uttered the words, Mom. I was almost moved to tears of joy. He finally married Bai Momo. In our previous life, we were married for over a decade, yet he never once called my parents mom and dad, claiming it was too familiar and he couldn't change the habit. It was only later that I realized he resented us. He hated that I had money but wouldn't give it to him. He hated that my parents will only had my name on it. And he hated that I refused to voluntarily hand over the assets. This time, the mom he called out for 3.88 million will surely make him suffer for a while. I blended into the crowd, watching the bride and groom share a kiss. His happiness, may it not be too easily shattered. I hurried home with light steps. He would continue his sweet dreams, but in this lifetime, he was destined not to have his wish fulfilled. Chi never expected that when he returned home from his honeymoon, the owner of the house had already changed. Looking at the furniture and luggage thrown out around the doorway, he let out an angry roar, disregarding his image. Xiaomeng, I was so startled that I almost dropped the watermelon in my hand. Did he forget he doesn't live here anymore? The day after the wedding, I immediately used my dad's connections to sell the house at a price 20% below market value, and the transfer was completed in less than 2 weeks. If I kept it, Chi would eventually come to pester me, so it was better to sell it off early. I quickly used the money from selling the house to book a 10-country European tour for my parents. After working hard for half their lives, they deserved to enjoy life. Chi was busy with his honeymoon and didn't even have time to pack his luggage. Perhaps he never really thought I would actually kick him out. I was lying in the yard, basking in the sun, when a voice I knew all too well came from the doorway. Momo, this is the house I grew up in. From now on, it will be our home. Are you back from your honeymoon? Sorry, sir, this is a private residence and not open for visits. The new security guard was very professional, coldly stopping Chi at the door. Chi stared at him intently, his chest heaving with anger. What did you say? I live here. How dare you stop me, sir? Please cooperate. Visitors must have their identity verified or be confirmed by the homeowner before they can enter. The security guard remained unmoved, and Chi clearly had no patience left. Xiaomeng, get out here. I slowly stood up and walked out of the courtyard, the metal gate reflecting a cold, brilliant light under the sun. Seeing me appear, Chi resumed his haughty demeanor. Xiaomeng, what's going on here? Hurry up and tell him that I asked you to show me the house. Make him open the door for me. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Show you the house? Chi, did you lose your memory after getting married? This is my house. Chi's movements froze as he looked at me in disbelief. Miss Chiao, even if you lent money to Ahi, this is the place where he grew up. Isn't it inappropriate for you to act this way? Bai Momo, holding on to Chi's arm, spoke gently to smooth things over, making it seem like I was the one in the wrong. Chi tacitly agreed with her words, looking at me with a displeased expression. Bai Momo, is that a tumor on your shoulder? I said, it's the house I bought, with real money. Can't you understand human language? I leaned against the door and continued my tirade. If it weren't for me, you and your husband would still be crying at the wedding. I don't expect you to be grateful, but you can't be so shameless. Watching Bai Momo's face turn pale and then flush with anger, I couldn't help but feel immensely satisfied. Chi finally understood that I wasn't joking with him. Xiaomeng, you've gone too far. Chi, don't push your luck. I silently watched him, as if looking at a stranger. Chi finally couldn't hold back any longer. Like a beast that had lost its mind, he forcefully pushed aside the security guard blocking his way and, carrying his suitcase, recklessly rushed into the courtyard. Xiaomeng, no one can take what's mine. People like Chi believe that everyone in the world should make way for him, otherwise, they are in the wrong. But as he pushed open the familiar door, he was met with a strange girl he had never seen before. Who are you, Uncle Lu? Didn't I tell you not to let any outsiders in? Chi, who was referred to as an outsider, instantly flew into a rage and roughly shoved the girl aside. You bitch, this is my house, get out of here. This bastard. I quickly stepped forward and helped the girl up. Honey, wait for me. Bai Momo hurriedly followed him with quick, small steps. A crisp slap echoed from inside. Chi was already stunned by that slap, and the company's general manager Yang was looking at him with a displeased expression. I had long known that no matter who the house was sold to, Chi would come to cause trouble, so I found a company director, Chi's immediate superior, in Area A. Every inch of land is precious, mostly passed down through generations. making it difficult to buy even with money. I approached him in the name of Yang Wanwan, and Mr. Yang felt he had gotten a great deal, even more grateful to the Chia family. The moment I signed the house sale contract, I was already waiting for this day. Chi's future is pretty much over. After marriage, he always said he looked down on the connections of the Chia family, insisting on standing on his own feet, and told me to learn from Bai Momo's brother, who neither fights nor competes. In this lifetime, I'll see how far he can go without the connections of the Chia family. Chi finally snapped back to reality when he saw the smile at the corner of my mouth. I looked at Chi with an expression of disappointment and frustration, feeling deeply pained. Director Yang had finally managed to schedule a meeting with the district head to discuss urban planning, but Chi ruined it, so of course, he wasn't going to give him a friendly look. Idiot, get him out of here. Along with this woman, as Chi was being dragged up by security, his eyes were filled with hatred, fixed on me like a venomous snake. Honey, are you okay? They're being so unreasonable. This is clearly your... Shut up. Chi could no longer maintain his facade. When his interests were at stake, he naturally had to jump in. Yang Wanwan cursed under her breath, just loud enough for him to hear. Coward. Chi's face turned ashen, and he slunk away with Bai Momo in tow. The following week, I heard at the company that he had taken the initiative to invite Manager Yang to a meal to apologize. Chi was still as impatient as ever. Manager Yang, I was too rash last time. Thanks to your guidance, we were able to succeed in this project. I've personally funded a celebration banquet and hope you'll honor us with your presence. Chi was clever, choosing a time when Manager Yang was in high spirits after just closing a deal and giving a speech at the company, with so many people around. Manager Yang couldn't appear unapproachable. The man bowing and scraping at the office door overlapped with the stubborn neighbor's brother I remembered from my childhood. At this moment, I only felt a deep sense of sorrow. Manager Yang glanced at him briefly, not wanting to embarrass him too much. Xiao-Qi, make the arrangements properly. Make sure it's a lively event. Mr. Yang gave me a special nod. Qiaoming, you are the key contributor to this project. You must come. I smiled in acknowledgement, while Chi looked gloomily toward the direction of my room. Yes, Qiaoming, you really must come. Momo kept saying she wanted to have a meal with you when she got back. I never get involved in interpersonal conflicts between companies. He has long known that I wouldn't attend private gatherings like colleague dinners. In my previous life, I joined the same company as him right after graduation. Even though I was more capable, I still cared about his self-esteem and helped him in every way. Working in the same company and the same department inevitably led to competition between us. When our colleagues were facing the opportunity for a promotion to director, I stepped back. I still remember that day after work, Chi, who rarely cooked at home, had prepared a whole table of dishes waiting for me. I was overjoyed. Thinking he had finally recognized my efforts, he said, Meng Meng, you've worked too hard. I am your husband, and I should be the one to face the storms outside. Trust me, I will give you the best life. I was deeply moved and made the resolute decision to be his supportive wife, but I overlooked the calculation in his eyes. Later, he said, if it weren't for your parents, do you think you'd be such a catch? You relied on your parents at home, and now you rely on me to support you. Without me, what do you think you, Qiaoming, are worth? My thoughts returned to the present, and Chi's ingratiating smile grew even more pronounced. Don't worry, General Manager Yang, I will definitely be there. I won't let you down. I agreed readily, but Chi's expression stiffened, watching him struggle to maintain his composure while clearly disliking me. I almost couldn't hold back a laugh. In the company, I've always been the one flattering and coaxing him. When has he ever had to endure such humiliation? But now, he unexpectedly agreed to the leader's dinner invitation, which made him start to feel a bit panicked. After Manager Yang left, he couldn't wait to come to my workstation to find me. Qiaoming, what's going on with you? Didn't I warn you not to stand out? Not to stand out? What were you trying to do today? You shouldn't go to the celebration banquet. I'll tell General Manager Yang that you're sick. He was so angry that his face turned red and his neck thickened. I slammed the cup heavily on the table and looked up to meet his gaze. Team Leader Chi, on what grounds are you making decisions for me? Is there any problem with me communicating normally with my superiors? His expression froze. He was used to lecturing me and hadn't expected me to speak up and argue back. I was just kindly reminding you. I pretended to suddenly understand and spoke loudly. Could it be that you're targeting me because you're worried about the vacant director position? Team Leader Chi, Manager Yang has seen everyone's performance, so there's no need for you to be so anxious and throw mud at an innocent person. The eyes of the surrounding colleagues turned toward us. After a while, many people probably forgot that Chi is actually on the same level as me. What nonsense are you talking? This is the company, not your home. Thinking back to how I used to be blinded by love, I really want to slap myself to death. Chi, communicate more professionally, don't be so emotional. Also, we are at the same level, stop yelling at me all the time, you're not worthy. I gave him a disdainful look, no longer paying attention to his reaction, stood up, and picked up the documents. Team 3, meeting, that's the way it should be, what a thing. Always coming to our group to make a scene. Did Sister Chiao take the wrong medicine today? No, wait, did she finally take the right one? Anyone who didn't know better would think he's already the director. It's hilarious. Chi's face turned pale with anger, and he kicked my chair hard. This is just the beginning. Chi, you should have recognized your place a long time ago. Just wait and see. In the hotel private room, the sales department gathered together, with only me missing. Chi looked at the only empty seat. His face filled with joy. It seems Xiaoming can't make it, Mr. Yang. My newlywed wife happens to be here too, so it's perfect for her to join us. Bai Momo, wearing a custom-made evening gown, stepped up from behind Chi and shyly introduced herself. Hello everyone, I am Chi's beloved. Before I could finish speaking, I pushed the door open and walked in. Team leader Chi even brought family to the celebration banquet. How about we all raise a toast to Team Leader Chi and wish him a happy marriage? Carrying the bonus arranged by Manager Yang, I confidently pushed the door open. I spoke with confidence, but every word was a sarcastic jab at him for stealing the spotlight. Chi thought I was scared off by yesterday's words and wouldn't come back. Looking at the box in my hand, he wished he could kick me out right now. Thanks to the leadership and recognition from our superiors, we can only get better and better. Let's all raise a glass to General Manager Yang. With the bonuses in hand, everyone became more enthusiastic, raising their glasses to warm up the atmosphere. This project was all thanks to Xiaoming, who worked day and night on business trips and played an indispensable role in the cooperation between our company and the overseas group. The position of Sales Department Director is definitely yours. General Manager Ying's public announcement not only affirmed my capabilities but also backed me up. The results I've achieved step by step cannot be taken away by anyone. Chi's face instantly turned pale. He thought I was merely making connections, never expecting that this collaboration was something I personally secured. At that time, he was still on his honeymoon with Bai Momo. Seeing Chi being sidelined, Bai Momo seized the opportunity to raise her glass to General Manager Yang. Mr. Yang, Xiaoming's skills were all taught by my husband, and my husband learned from you. It's all thanks to your excellent teaching. I toast to you. Indeed, everyone knows that ever since I joined the company, I've been inseparable from Chi. The collaborative proposals we worked on have now turned into Chi teaching me. Ridiculous. Bai Momo kept going on and on about the skills Chi taught me, subtly implying that I'm not as good as Chi and that the director position should be his. Everyone also started to recall that, in fact, Team Leader Chi had delivered quite a few impressive proposals early on, so it really wasn't right to dismiss him so quickly. The people from the second group all stood up and chimed in. Yes, Team Leader Chi, it's all thanks to you leading our second group forward in the past few years that we've achieved such good results now. Chi looked at me smugly and stopped speaking, waiting for General Manager Yang to change his mind. Bai Momo covered her mouth and chuckled lightly. If we hadn't gotten together early, my husband would have been pursued by Miss Chiao long ago. Team Leader Chiao, you actually pursued Brother Chi before. Lu Xian from the second team quickly chimed in. No wonder you suddenly got angry with Brother Chi the other day. It was jealousy. The second team hadn't achieved much this time, so they naturally seized the chance to take a jab at me. He remained silent, clearly also thinking that I was deliberately retaliating out of love turned hate. I smiled. It's a good celebration banquet. Why are the people from the second group starting to care about my private affairs? If you want to hear gossip, you can go to the aunties at the village entrance. Xiaoming, never fear how many rumors there are. Only solid achievements can truly convince people. Manager Yang's face darkened. He also panicked a bit. And Bai Momo quickly raised her glass to apologize to me. I took a bite of the dish without even bothering to give it a glance. Xiaoming, Momo was just joking to lighten the mood. What do you mean by that? I was shocked. What a huge accusation to throw at me. Bai Momo looked at me with teary eyes. Honey, don't blame Meng Meng. It was my fault for saying the wrong thing. I smiled and raised my wine glass, then withdrew it and drank it all in one gulp just as she thought I was going to clink glasses with her. You really are a troublemaker. Bai Momo, this is a public place. Don't bring your private flirting to the dinner table. Bai Momo froze, seemingly not expecting me to embarrass her in front of so many people. Xiaoming, Momo is still your sister-in-law after all. You've gone too far. I've been guiding you all the way, and you've really let me down. Chi's pained and heartbroken expression brought silence to the room. He was still emphasizing his own contributions. Indeed, who didn't know that Chi had achieved several impressive results as soon as he joined the company, making him the top performer among his peers. Mr. Yan looked at him and couldn't help but recall the difficult times the company had gone through, so he spoke up for him a few words. Xiao Qiao, Now that the company has achieved a breakthrough, we must unite and move forward together. Chi curled his lips. Even the board of directors had to remember the old favor of helping in times of need. He would always have his own place in the company. Chi would never be a pawn to be discarded. He looked at me with pride, but I turned around and took out the document folder from my briefcase. This time, I'm going to strike with a single, decisive blow, Mr. Young. I originally planned to organize the materials and report them later, but I really can't bear to see the company's senior management being deceived all along. Since you've shown me such appreciation, I'm even more unwilling to let parasites thrive within the company. After all, the law does not yield to personal feelings. I solemnly handed over the document folder with both hands. Mr. Young looked puzzled, while Chi felt an inexplicable surge of panic in his heart. Page by page, Mr. Yang's expression changed repeatedly. Look at the mess you've made. Papers fluttered to the ground, and Chi was stunned. The moment he picked up the papers, his face turned deathly pale. 6 months ago, he had not yet come to the sales department as a team leader. He had always been in the finance department. By Momo's expenses were increasing day by day, and he had to start embezzling from the company's private accounts. Although he later filled the gaps intermittently, the company was fined a large sum of money due to financial issues. He knew he had to fill the gaps before getting promoted, but he forgot to handle the account records as well. Mr. Young, I withdrew the money from the account in advance for the previous project. I made up for it, and I never owed the company a single cent. Chi would not admit that he had used the private accounts, or else it wouldn't just be a matter of money anymore. I let out a cold snort and spoke calmly. Team leader Chi, there haven't been any major funding proposals in Team 2 recently, have there? Chi seemed to instantly seize on a reason. It was her who framed me. Xiaoming framed me to get herself promoted. Mr. Young, I've been with the company for so many years. Even if I haven't made great contributions, I've put in my share of hard work, credit, since I was separated from Group 2. Have you achieved anything? Xiao Qiao, what do you mean by that? I turned to face General Manager Yang, my gaze sincere. General Manager Yang, most of the projects from Group 2 were handled by me, but when they were reported, they all became Group Leader Chi's credit. Xiaoming is incompetent and has let down your cultivation. Chi has already grown accustomed to taking credit for my achievements. I felt sorry for him, having no family to rely on and struggling alone for so many years, so I turned a blind eye to what he did. Only now have I realized how much he has been leeching off the Qiao family all this time. My parents thought he was stubborn and independent, so they gave him a house. Worried that he had no money, I persuaded my parents to send him abroad to study. Even after he started working, he still took my achievements for granted without a second thought. Chi never expected that I would bring things out into the open. The fact that my project was credited under his name had long become an unspoken agreement between us, but now, I want it back. You're lying. Chi finally lost his composure and rushed forward, ready to lay hands on me. But the people around quickly held him back. These are all the initial files from the project I worked on before. Mr. Young, I hope the company trusts in my abilities, and our third team will definitely stand with the company through thick and thin. Mr. Young fell silent for a long moment, ultimately casting a disappointed glance at Chi. Starting today, Group 2 and Group 3 will merge. Xiaoming will serve as the director of the sales department and the new leader of the team. Anyone who continues to slack off will no longer be welcome here. Chi's eyes dimmed with defeat. The sound of the door slamming shut sealed Chi's fate. Chi, suspended pending investigation. Colleagues around me gradually left, and I knew that within 3 days, Chi would become famous in the company. Chi had struggled in the company for 5 years, only to end up utterly defeated. Momo left the hotel first to wait for him. Chi tightened his grip on the wine glass in his hand and gave me a familiar, bitter smile. Meng, congratulations. I know you just wanted to punish me. You're allergic to peanuts. In the future, when I'm not by your side, remember to be more careful. Consider the house a gift from me. Take good care of yourself from now on. Excuse me, what are you acting out? In the past, whenever he acted like this, I would inevitably start recounting all his hardships and soften my heart to help him again, but now I see clearly what kind of person he is, and I will never waste a shred of sympathy on him again. He watched my reaction closely, afraid to miss a single expression on my face. He was gambling, betting on my soft heart. I mercilessly tore off his mask. Chi, listen clearly, the house was bought by us, and my job was earned through hard work. You're shamelessly freeloading and still acting entitled. Don't disgust me. Chi finally couldn't hold back. Xiaoming, you took advantage of my situation and turned the tables on me. You're just a bit wealthier because of your family. Who knows how much compensation your family took from my parents? If it weren't for feeling guilty toward me, why would you treat me so well? Stop pretending to be a good person. If it weren't for the rule of law. He would have wanted to tear a piece of flesh from me, so that's what he was thinking, back then. My parents saw that he had become an orphan at such a young age and took the initiative to adopt him in the name of an old friend's child. As he grew older and his self-esteem grew stronger, they voluntarily gave him a house in the compound, treating him like their own son, with food, clothing, housing, and transportation no less than mine. He had always insisted on borrowing money in the name of a loan, insisted on going abroad alone, but never mentioned repaying the money, in the end. He even felt that our family had wronged him. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Gee, do you really think your parents left behind countless family wealth? You're just a child from the Bayshore orphanage. My parents shouldn't have helped you. They should have let you be bullied in the orphanage for the rest of your life. You're lying. My parents were the same kind of people as the Chow family. It's you. It's all of you. You took our family's money and now you're trying to fool me. I hate him, I'm disgusted by him, and I also pity him. If he knew that his bright future was ruined by his own suspicions, would he feel even a hint of regret? Looking at his frenzied state, I could no longer muster even the slightest emotion. You could have found out for yourself, so why didn't you? Were you afraid? I didn't give him another glance and walked away, leaving Chi-hee in the room. Weeping bitterly with his head in his hands, at the door, Bai Momo stood with her arms crossed, looking at me with disdain. Don't get too cocky, Chi-hee has always loved only me, you'll never be able to take him away. Is his love some kind of precious treasure? Bai Momo looked at me in confusion, knowing how much we had both loved Chi-hee in the past. Chi-hee's agonized roar echoed from the private room, and Bai Momo hurriedly rushed inside. I know they can't stir up any trouble anymore. I didn't hear about them again until half a year later. I was successfully promoted to the director of the sales department. Chi-hee had also approached Manager Young several times to seek reconciliation, but all he received were the company's cold dismissal notices. After all the effort I've put into the company over the years, they just kick me out like this. I sat in my bright, private office, holding a cup of coffee as I watched Chi-hee downstairs, shouting and screaming in a desperate protest. Boss Yun looked thoroughly impatient. Effort, you know perfectly well whether it was effort or stealing someone else's hard work. If you really had the skills, you wouldn't be making a scene here. Boss Yun called security as if dealing with a troublemaker. Just before leaving, Chi-hee seemed to sense something and suddenly looked up, locking eyes with me. His eyes were filled with confusion. Why wasn't I accommodating him anymore? I loved him so much next year. He was utterly perplexed, and I slowly averted my gaze, having no intention of offering him any further guidance. I will eventually move toward my own future. The next time I saw him was in court. After returning home, Chi-hee wanted Bai Momo to sell their house to help him start his own business. Bai Momo could no longer keep it a secret and finally confessed. The house was originally registered under her mother and brother's names, so she couldn't sell it. Chi-hee, overwhelmed with rage, drove straight to Bai Momo's parents' home. Not only did the Bai family show no remorse, but they also justified themselves, saying that it was Bai Momo's own property and she had the right to handle it. Furthermore, after being fired from the company, Chi-hee was mocked and ridiculed by Bai Momo's brother. In a fit of rage, he ended up getting into a physical altercation with him. In the heat of the moment, he accidentally killed his brother-in-law and was subsequently sued by his mother-in-law in court. The outcome of events is always full of drama. Chi-hee pleaded with Bai Momo in every possible way to issue a letter of understanding, but Bai Momo avoided him. It wasn't until the court hearing, through the lawyer's words, that he learned Bai Momo was already preparing to marry a wealthy businessman for the second time. I was surprised that, even after being reborn, Bai Momo still chose the same path as in her previous life. He just didn't know that the wealthy businessman had a very formidable daughter, who managed to persuade her father not to register the marriage with Bai Momo during his lifetime. After death, the property naturally wouldn't be hers either, if it weren't for this capable daughter. Given the wealthy merchant's family fortune, it wouldn't have been Chi-hee's turn to help her. In this lifetime, she naturally didn't come to a good end either. My long-term collaborating lawyer warmly invited me to see the outcome of the case. How could I refuse? The court holds that the defendant, Chi-hee, intentionally and unlawfully deprived another person of life, and his actions constitute the crime of intentional homicide. He is sentenced to life imprisonment with lifelong deprivation of political rights. The judge's gavel falls, sealing the decision. I lift my head, and Chi-hee seems to notice me for the first time. He looks up with a self-mocking smile. Chiao Meng, are you here to watch me make a fool of myself too? I silently turn and walk away without answering, but his voice suddenly grows urgent. Meng, if I had chosen you back then, would things be different for us now? He was desperate for an answer, but to me, it no longer mattered. He wasn't regretting his choice, he just felt this wasn't the best outcome for him. He should have stepped on others to climb to the top. What exactly went wrong? I used to think he truly loved me and couldn't bear to see me suffer. Now I realize he was afraid of losing my admiration, afraid I might surpass him. A man's jealousy is enough to destroy me. No, I don't want you anymore. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The female educated youth Su Ping cried and jumped into the river to seek death, saying that she had been violated by my brother, who was a soldier returning home on leave, forcing my brother to marry her. Otherwise, she would go to the commune and report to the police station, charging my brother with the crime of being a hooligan who deserves to be shot. 8 months later, Su Ping gave birth to a full-term son weighing 9 Jean. My brother wanted a divorce, but Su Ping threw a tantrum, threatened to kill herself, and refused to agree no matter what. My brother endured the humiliation, worked hard, and raised her son. During an earthquake, my brother protected his mother and child to help them escape, but was struck in the spine by falling debris, leaving him paralyzed. However, they saw him as a burden, and they pushed him, along with his wheelchair, into a freezing river in the icy snow. He froze to death. Reborn back to the day of the incident, I stopped the worst scoundrel in the village. Chen ergo, a beautiful wife dropped from the sky. Do you want her? As soon as I entered the village, I saw Sister Chenhua rushing over. Yinan, I finally found you. Something terrible has happened. Your brother Yu Zhanping has taken advantage of the educated youth Su Ping. The lights were on in my house, and it was surrounded by villagers, 3 layers deep inside and out, all watching the commotion. Su Ping was soaked from head to toe, having just been rescued from the water, wrapped in a man's coat. She was sobbing at the door of my brother's room. Dear fellow villagers, you must stand up for me. If Yu Zhanping doesn't give me an explanation today, I really can't go on living. Village Chief Wu Jinggui stood with his hands behind his back, his old face dark with anger. Yinan, you've come back just in time. Your brother Yu Zhanping has done such a thing. What do you think should be done about it? Su Ping, with her fair skin and beautiful features, had a graceful and delicate figure, making her the most outstanding among the educated youth in the surrounding villages. Now, as she sobbed in the autumn wind, she truly looked like a pear blossom bathed in rain, pitiful and touching. It was a truly pitiful and heartbreaking sight. It also stirred the sympathy of the villagers, who all began to point fingers at us. Leading the way was Aunt Zhao. As soon as my brother's enlistment notice arrived, Aunt Zhao rushed to our house to propose a marriage, hoping to marry her daughter to my brother. However, Aunt Zhao was notorious in our Qinghe village for being a gossip, always stirring up trouble and sowing discord in her daily life. I had no respect for someone with such character. I tactfully said that my brother was still young and not ready to settle down yet, and we would wait until he was discharged from the military. This was essentially a rejection, and Zhao felt that I had embarrassed her. After that, she found fault with me everywhere and made trouble for me at every turn. Today, she sees such a great opportunity and naturally wouldn't let it slip away. She put her hands on her hips and spat on the ground. Who would have thought Yu Zhanping was such a scoundrel? Ugh, how shameless. Someone chimed in. Exactly. I heard he even received a 3rd-class merit in the army just 2 months ago, and he was waiting for a promotion after this home visit. Who would have thought he'd do something like this? This Yu Zhanping always seems so honest and decent. It's true that you can't judge a person by their appearance. I slowly scanned the crowd. Fellow villagers, the educated youth Su says my brother Yu Zhanping bullied her. Did anyone actually see it with their own eyes? Upon hearing this, everyone looked at each other, but no one spoke up. They had all been drawn over by the shouts of Su Ping and village chief Wu Jinggui. The first few villagers to arrive only saw Su Ping with her clothes in disarray, village chief Wu Jinggui holding a stick, and the man who had been knocked unconscious on the bed. After that, Su Ping clutched her clothes, crying and shouting that she couldn't go on living, then rushed out and jumped into the river. They quickly went into the river to rescue her. The village chief, meanwhile, kept blocking the doorway, afraid that the man inside would wake up and run away. The village chief raised his chin and said in a deep voice, I, Wu Jinggui, the village chief of Qinghe village, saw with my own eyes that your brother, Yu Zhanping, bullied the educated youth Su. It was also me who knocked your brother out with a stick. He's still lying in the house right now. I looked into the room and saw a person in military uniform lying on the bed, but my brother was burning up with a fever and was currently getting in for at the barefoot doctor's house in the neighboring village. How could he have possibly returned before me to bully Su Ping? I turned my gaze to Su Ping, who was crying uncontrollably. Comrade Su, are you sure it was my brother Yu Zhanping who bullied you? Su Ping raised her head with tears in her eyes and said, I'm absolutely certain. It was your younger brother, Yu Zhanping, who bullied me. This worthless woman's acting skills are truly impressive. It's a waste of talent not to go perform in grand operas. In my past life, not only the villagers, but even I was deceived by her excellent acting skills, thinking that my brother had truly bullied her. The village chief glared at me fiercely. Yinan, why are you interrogating Comrade Sue like this? Do you really want Comrade Sue, a young woman, to explain in detail how your brother bullied her? Your brother Yu Zhanping has no shame, but Comrade Sue still has her dignity to uphold. I see, you're just trying to deny it now, aren't you, Yinan? I'm telling you, with both witnesses and evidence present, you must give Su Jiqing an explanation today and marry her, otherwise, the village will tie your brother up and send him to the police station, where he'll be charged with hooliganism. Your brother, Yu Zhanping, is a soldier. He knows the law but breaks it. That makes his crime even more severe. He'll just have to wait to be paraded through the streets and shot. In my previous life, the village chief Wu Jingui also scared us like this. For the sake of my brother's life, we had no choice but to settle the matter peacefully and marry that wretched woman, Su Ping. But in the end, not only did it ruin my brother's entire life, but it also led to his tragic death. Now that I have been reborn, I will absolutely not let them succeed. I'm going to make this pair of scoundrels taste my wrath. Ignoring the village chief, I continued to press Su Ping. Comrade Su, I'll ask you one more time. Were you really harassed by my younger brother, Yu Zhanping? Su Ping gritted her teeth and nodded. Yes, so, no matter what the truth of the matter is, you're determined to pin the label of rapist on my brother Yu Zhanping today, Su Jiqing. Is that it? Upon hearing this, a flicker of panic flashed in Su Ping's eyes. The next second, she abruptly stood up and cried out loudly, Yinan, what do you mean by that? I, Su Ping, have been in Qinghe village for almost 3 years now, and I've always kept to myself. Would I slander you for no reason at all? My brother is useless. I've been bullied by your brother, and I don't want to live anymore. Can't I just die? After saying this, Su Ping rushed toward the wall. She was grabbed and pulled back by several aunties from the village. Comrade Su, this isn't your fault. You mustn't think of doing anything foolish. The village chief was furious and shouted, Yinan, you really want to drive Comrade Su to her death so you can shirk responsibility, don't you? Seeing this, everyone was also filled with indignation. This is truly going too far. Yinan, your brother has done such a shameless thing. And not only have you failed to give a proper explanation, but you also forced Su Jiqing to hit the wall. How can you live with your conscience? And Zhao, the Yi family is utterly shameless. Seeing everyone pointing their fingers at me and scolding me like this, I felt both angry, annoyed, and amused. I lied and said I had a nightmare last night, telling my brother Yu Zhanping everything that happened in my previous life without missing a single detail. Although he didn't believe that what happened in the dream would occur in reality, he still promised me that he would stay at the barefoot doctor's place tonight and definitely not go home, and promised me, if anything happens, you will never be alone, always have someone accompany you. I look at the crowd in the courtyard. Fellow villagers, Yinan, ask you once more, among all of you present here, who has personally witnessed my brother Yu Zhanping bullying Su Jiqing? The villagers fell silent once again. Are we really going to convict my brother just based on a few words from Su Jiqing? Village Chief Wu Jingui, furious and flustered, pointed at me. Yinan, are you saying that Su Jiqing would risk his life just to tarnish your brother's reputation? Aunt Zhao stood with her hands on her hips and spat at me. Yinan, Su Jiqing is a respectable person from the big city, good-looking and well-educated. What makes you think your brother Yu Zhanping is some kind of treasure? Do you really believe Su Jiqing would risk her own reputation and integrity for a joke? At the end of the day, Yinan, you just don't want to admit the shameful things your brother did, afraid he'll get kicked out of the military. Not to be outdone, I spat right back at Aunt Zhao's face, giving her a taste of her own medicine. Aunt Zhao, last year, as soon as my brother's enlistment notice arrived, you came running to me, saying you wanted to marry your daughter off to him. If my brother wasn't such a catch, why were you so eager to come to our house every day, pushing to have your daughter marry him? I've never spoken about this to anyone, not even to my closest friend, Sister Chanhua, not a single word, so no one in the village knew about this, since Aunt Zhao has been making a fuss all day today. Don't blame me for not saving her face. Upon hearing this, the crowd began whispering among themselves, there's more to this story. No wonder, since last year, Aunt Zhao has been finding fault with the Yi family and Yinan, criticizing them everywhere and spreading rumors about them. Aunt Zhao felt utterly humiliated in front of the villagers. She flew into a rage, lunged at me, grabbed my hair, and we started wrestling. Bah, you're the sister of a rapist, your brother did such a shameless thing, and you still have the nerve to act so arrogant. This is a new society now, and the law is what matters. Your brother, Yu Zhanping, that rapist, is just waiting to face the firing squad. Let's see how arrogant you can be then. Our Yu family used to be hunters. My brother and I learned archery from our father since we were young, and we also picked up some martial arts. When it comes to a real fight, I'm definitely a tough one among women, and Zhao couldn't gain any advantage against me. I pulled out a handful of her hair and gave her a couple of punches, making her howl in pain. Seeing this, the village chief shouted, "Stop, both of you, stop right now. If you have something to say, say it. No one is allowed to fight." Sister Chanhua and a few aunties stepped forward to mediate, urging me to let go. I knew when to stop, so I released Aunt Zhao. All right. Since everyone says it was my younger brother in the house who did it and that we should take responsibility, I'll go in and call him out. I'll ask him right in front of everyone why he did such a foolish thing. Once we get to the bottom of it, we'll take responsibility. How about that? But Village Chief Wu Jingue blocked the door, preventing me from entering. Yinan, this matter is clear with both witnesses and evidence. What else do you want to ask? Could it be that you want to go in and persuade your brother to stubbornly deny it? Su Ping wiped her tears and said, Yinan, today Su Ping, we'll make it clear right here. If your brother Yi Zhanping doesn't give me a proper explanation and marry me, I will report this to the police station and accuse your brother Yi Zhanping of rape. Your brother can just wait to be executed. Sister Chanhua, Sister Chirjiu, and the others, upon hearing this, quickly pulled me aside. Yinan, if Su Jiqing really reports this to the police station, not only will your brother's future in the military be ruined, but he could also be charged with hooliganism and face execution. This is no joking matter. That's right, Yinan, it's better to have your brother marry Su Jiqing. If this is reported to the police station and the situation escalates, it will be hard to handle. Exactly. Su Jiqing is from a big city. Her family has urban household registration and lives on government-supplied rations. If your brother Yi Zhanping marries her, it would be quite a bargain. In this way, a disaster turned into a joyous occasion. Everyone was happy. Actually, what I was waiting for were the two sentences Su Ping had said earlier. Now that the fish had taken the bait, I was ready to reel in the line. I pretended to be persuaded by Sister Chanhua and the others, sighed helplessly, and gave in. All right, we'll take responsibility. Upon hearing this, the village chief was delighted. Yinan, you said that yourself. Everyone heard it. You have to keep your word. I walked straight up to Su Ping and asked her solemnly, Comrade Su Jiqing, you mean that whoever bullied you tonight and took your innocence must marry you and take you home, right? Su Ping nodded. Yes, regardless of who bullied you tonight, you will marry him, won't you? Although Su Ping was somewhat puzzled as to why I kept asking her repeatedly, she nodded again and even raised her voice, saying loudly, yes. I looked at Village Chief Wu Jingue again. Village Chief, you mean the same thing, right? Village Chief, yes, that's exactly what I mean. Whoever does something wrong must take responsibility for it. This is a matter of principle. Everyone nodded in agreement. That's right, we must take responsibility for Su Jiqing. Otherwise, how will she ever get married in the future? Me, all right, then let's ask the village chief and the elders present to bear witness. Tonight, let's settle this marriage in front of everyone. How about that? Everyone chimed in with agreement. Village Chief Wu Jingui and Su Ping exchanged a covert glance, seeing the satisfaction of their scheme's success in each other's eyes. Their gazes met briefly, like a dragonfly skimming the water, touching and parting in an instant. Apart from me, no one else present had any inkling of it. In that case, Village Chief, have someone wake up my brother in the house, tonight. Let's have the two of them enter the bridal chamber. What do you say? The crowd erupted in a chorus of enthusiastic cheers. Later, we must make sure to have a lively time at the bridal chamber. Su Ping lowered her head, putting on a shy and demure expression. I watched, and immediately felt a wave of nausea in my stomach. This bitch is really good at acting, but she won't be able to act for much longer. Soon she won't even be able to cry. The village chief instructed two strong young men, saying, Go inside, wake that person up for me. The two strong young men had only been inside for a few seconds when they simultaneously let out a startled cry of "Ah, Village Chief, come in and take a look." The village chief frowned with displeasure. What's going on? I, along with some villagers, followed the village chief and Su Ping inside. Inside, the man in military uniform was turned over by two strong young men, revealing a face with a broken eyebrow and a scar. The village chief and Su Ping were as if struck by lightning, their faces turning pale with shock. Everyone else was also stunned and speechless. Wasn't it supposed to be Yi Zhanping? How could it be Chen Ergo? Chen Ergo is the worst scoundrel in our Qinghe village. When it comes to him, not just our Qinghe village, but the entire commune knows he's a reckless and ruthless troublemaker. Drinking, gambling, smoking, stealing, fighting, and causing trouble, all of these are just routine for him. Once, after a minor dispute with a neighbor, he grabbed a hoe and cracked the man's head open. Because of this incident, Chen Ergo even spent 3 years in prison. After his release, he carried an even more menacing aura all over his body. In the village, not only the women but even the strong men tried to keep their distance, fearing that provoking him would lead to endless trouble in the future. Chen Ergo's appearance was also extremely ugly. He had broken eyebrows, a pair of small eyes like mung beans, A large knife scar on his face from fighting, and teeth yellowed from smoking. His parents died early, and his family was so poor that only two leaky, dilapidated houses remained. In short, he was poor, unruly, rotten, and ruthless. When Su Ping saw Chen go, her eyes were vacant, her face ashen, and her lips trembling with fear. It's not this person, it's not this person, it was Yi Zhanping. It was Yi Zhanping who bullied me. After a moment of shock, the village chief's expression also changed drastically, thinking to himself, this is bad. Chen go, this scoundrel, is someone even the village chief Wu Jingui dares not provoke. Village chief Wu Jingui and Su Ping wanted to frame my younger brother for two reasons. The first reason is because Su Ping got pregnant by Wu Jingui. Su Ping, with her fair and delicate appearance and a large bust, caught the eye of the lecherous Wu Jingui as soon as she arrived at the educated youth point in our Qinghe village. Wu Jingui exercised the authority of the village chief, constantly favoring Su Ping by assigning her the least tiring work that earned the most work points. He also made her various promises, such as future opportunities to return to the city. Su Ping was inherently a snobbish and promiscuous woman, and one night 3 months later, she half-heartedly allowed Wu Jingui to pin her down in the barn, and the deed was done. This affair lasted for nearly 3 years, to the point where she was almost worn out by Wu Jingui. Both Su Ping and Wu Jingui are deep thinkers and highly calculating individuals, usually keeping a low profile and acting discreetly. Additionally, Su Ping is skilled at putting on an act, always appearing cold and aloof in front of others. As a result, the villagers remained completely unaware of their affair and continued to believe that Su Ping was a pure and innocent girl. The second reason, and the most important one, is that Wu Jingui and Su Ping recently learned about the astonishing background of my brother and me. It turns out our biological parents are two high-ranking officials in the capital. During the war years, my parents, because they had to fight, found it inconvenient to take us, their newborn twins, so they entrusted my brother and me to local villagers to raise. But little did they expect that as soon as they left, a traitor emerged within the organization. That traitor couldn't withstand the enemy's severe torture and gave away information about us siblings. Fortunately, there were also members of our party in the interrogation, who rushed to inform our adoptive parents before the enemy could arrest them. Our adoptive parents had no time to pack, so they picked up the two of us siblings in swaddling clothes and fled in panic. However, halfway through the journey, we still encountered the enemy. Our adoptive parents placed us in a cave, wrapped stones in swaddling clothes and held them in their arms to lure the enemy away. In the end, they were shot dead by the enemy and fell off the cliff, still holding us siblings. The enemy thought we were surely dead, so they didn't go down to search carefully. After the enemy left, our party members arrived at the bottom of the cliff and searched everywhere, but only found the bodies of my adoptive parents. My sister and I, however, could not be found no matter how hard they looked, so they assumed we had been taken away by wild beasts, leaving no trace of our remains. Because of this, our parents, who were high-ranking officials, always believed that my sister and I had long since perished. Little did they know that we were fortunate and blessed, as we were rescued by a hunter couple surnamed Yi in the mountains who heard our cries. They were over 40 years old and had no children of their own, so they felt that my sister and I were a gift from heaven and treated us like precious jewels. When we were 7 years old, our parents moved down from the mountains to Qinghe village, about 10 kilometers from the county town, so that we could go to school and learn to read and write. After my brother joined the army, he won first place in an all-around competition across the entire military region, and the regional commander personally awarded him the prize. When the commander caught sight of my brother, he was taken aback in surprise. He discovered that my brother looked exactly like his old commander in the capital did when he was young, having followed the old commander for decades. He was aware of the incident involving our siblings back then and immediately grew suspicious. After the award ceremony, the commander called my brother into his office and questioned him in great detail. Upon learning that my brother, Yi Zhanping, had a twin sister, he became even more suspicious and asked my brother if he had a photo of me. Before enlisting, my brother and I took a photo together. When the seasoned military commander, who had survived countless battles and gunfire, saw me in the photo, he couldn't help but tremble with excitement, exclaiming repeatedly, "One looks like the father, the other like the mother, and both look exactly the same." One person looking alike might be a coincidence, but for both to look alike, it can't just be a simple coincidence. That very day, he took the photo of my sister and me along with all my brother's documents, boarded a train to the capital, and knocked on the door of the old chief and his wife in the middle of the night. Over the years, our chief parents never had any more children, and because of their advanced age, they had long since come to terms with the fact that they had no biological descendants. Upon seeing the photo of my sister and me, they were overjoyed and immediately sent people to our county, town, and Qinghe village to conduct a detailed investigation, confirming our identities. A few days ago, when that person came to investigate accompanied by leaders from the county and town, he told the village chief Wu Jingui about this matter and repeatedly urged him to keep it confidential. Therefore, only the village chief Wu Jingui and the entire Qinghe village knows about this. At the same time, Su Ping discovered that she was pregnant with the village chief Wu Jingui's child and wanted to have an abortion. The village chief disagreed. The village chief's wife gave birth to 3 children, none of whom were boys. The village chief held feudalistic beliefs and had always longed for a son. As for Su Ping, she naturally refused to have children. She slept with the village chief only to receive various favors and benefits in Qinghe village and to return to the city as soon as possible. In the future, she intended to return to the city, become an urban resident, and enjoy the benefits of commodity grain. Once the belly starts to show, it can no longer be hidden. By then, everyone will know that she, Su Ping, is a loose woman. She kept making a fuss every day, demanding that the village chief buy medicine for her to have an abortion. Just when the village chief was at his wit's end, my younger brother, Yi Zhanping, was approved by the military to return home for a visit. He saw my brother and, knowing that his future prospects were limitless, immediately thought of a sinister plan. He told Su Ping about my brother's background and his plan. As soon as Su Ping heard that my brother was the only son of a high-ranking official in the capital, she agreed without a second thought. If the plan succeeded, not only Su Ping but also the village chief's children would live a good life in the future. In their previous life, they succeeded, but now that I have been reborn, they are about to face great misfortune. At noon today, when I encountered Chen Ergo in the village, I stopped him right away. Ergo, a beautiful wife dropped from the sky. Do you want her? In the past, I would have avoided him and taken a detour whenever I saw him. After all, if you can't afford to provoke someone, you can at least avoid them. Now that I know my parents are high-ranking officials in the capital, I'm not the least bit afraid of him. Chen Ergo was stunned by my question, his scarred face dark and expressionless. A few seconds later, he glared at me with a fierce look in his eyes. Yi Nan, are you so full you've got nothing better to do than mess with me? Ergu, I'm just asking out of kindness. Do you want a free, beautiful wife? He glared at me fiercely. Do you think Chen Ergu, am a fool? Would a beautiful wife just fall from the sky? I looked him straight in the eyes and said seriously, Ergu, if you want a beautiful wife, come to my house after dark, put on my brother's military uniform, wear the military cap, and pretend to be my brother waiting at my place. Remember not to turn on the lights, don't let anyone see your face clearly. As long as you listen to me, after tonight, I guarantee you can marry a fair-skinned, beautiful wife for free. Believe it or not, if you believe me, take the key and go to my house later. If you don't, that's fine too. Anyway, you won't lose out either way. With that, I reached out and handed him the key to my home. These days, everyone is poor, and there's nothing of value at home. Chen Ergo listened in silence until I finished speaking. Seeing that I didn't seem to be joking, he snorted coldly and asked me, a delicate and fair-skinned beautiful wife, how beautiful is she? Like Su Ping, the educated youth, beautiful, isn't she? Ergo, do you want her? Su Ping had snow-white skin, delicate features, and a curvaceous figure, ample where it should be ample, and slender where it should be slender. On the very day she arrived at the commune, she caused a sensation throughout, with people saying that a female educated youth as beautiful as a movie star had come. After that, men from all the surrounding villages in the commune would drool at the mere thought of Su Ping. Chen Ergo looked at me without saying a word. I knew Chen Ergo was tempted. Sure enough, a few seconds later, he reached out, snatched the key, and threw down a threat. Yinan, if you dare mess with me, I'll make you regret it. Su Ping was terrified to see Chen Ergo lying on the bed, trembling all over. It's not him, it was Yi Zhanping who bullied me. Chen Ergo took off his military uniform, picked up his tattered pants, and stood up. He raised a broken eyebrow and grinned at Su Ping, revealing a set of uneven, yellow teeth. Su Ping, it was clearly you who climbed onto the bed yourself, pulled off my pants, and rode on top of me. Moaning, as soon as these words were spoken, it was like a drop of water splashing into a pot of boiling oil. Everyone was in an uproar. Oh my god, it was actually Su Jiqing who pulled off Chen Ergo's pants and climbed on top of him. This is just too shameless. I never expected Su Jiqing, who usually looks so unapproachable, to be such a loose woman behind the scenes. Su Ping's face was as pale as paper, and she hastily defended herself. I didn't. At that time, the lights in the room were off. She saw a man in military uniform lying on the bed and immediately assumed it was Yi Jianping, so she climbed up and went to take off his pants. As a result, the man impatiently turned over and pinned her to the bed, bullying her fiercely. By the time village chief Wu Jingui knocked him unconscious with a stick, it was already done. At the time, she was secretly delighted, thinking that this time Yi Jianping would have no way to escape, but now, the more she thought about it, the more frightened she became. She had already let Chen Ergo taste the sweetness, and she feared she would never be able to shake him off in the future. At this point, all she could do was deny everything to the end, refusing to admit it no matter what. Chen Ergo, what? You were riding on me just now, having a great time, and now you're trying to deny it. You're talking nonsense. It wasn't you, it was Yi Jianping. Chen Ergo's face turned fierce as he grabbed her arm. What's the matter? You damn woman, are you disgusted by my ugliness, or are you disgusted by my poverty? Chen Ergo was so ugly, just looking at him made her want to vomit. Su Ping felt a chill in her heart, her stomach churning, and she struggled desperately as if bitten by a venomous snake. Don't touch me, let go, let go. Su Ping cried anxiously. It was Yi Jianping who bullied me, not you. It was Yi Jianping, it was Yi Jianping. Chen Ergo chuckled strangely, the laughter sounding particularly eerie. You bitch, it was clearly me. Why are you still trying to frame Yi Jianping? I smiled slightly. Comrade Su, even at this point, you still want to slander my brother Yi Jianping. What's the matter? Are you so desperate to marry my brother that you've gone crazy? A villager couldn't hold back and let out a laugh, mocking. If Comrade Su likes Yi Jianping, why not just say it? There's no need to climb into bed and pull down his pants. And then you even got the wrong person. I spoke slowly. Dear fellow villagers, my brother Yi Jianping went to the barefoot doctor in the neighboring village this evening to get in for drip. He hasn't been home at all. If you don't believe me, send 2 people to check, and you'll know the truth. Please, Comrade Su, stop throwing mud at my brother Yi Jianping. Su Ping opened her mouth, wanting to say something more, but no words came out. She couldn't control herself, trembling all over. With beads of cold sweat breaking out on her forehead, village chief Wu Jinui's face also turned extremely grim. Neither of them had ever imagined that the person inside the house would be the village's worst scoundrel, Chen Ergo. Upon hearing my words, the crowd began to discuss the matter once again. I always said Yi Jianping is honest and steady. We've watched him grow up. He's not that kind of person. Yeah, that's what I said too. Suddenly, my brother Yi Jianping's anxious voice rang out. Sis, what's going on? Someone said I bullied Su Jiqing. It's Yi Jianping coming back. The crowd quickly made way. Yi Jianping and the barefoot doctor, along with several villagers who were getting 4 drips and injections at the barefoot doctor's house, hurriedly walked in from outside the courtyard. Sis, since I came back from visiting relatives, I haven't even exchanged a single word with Su Jiqing. How could I possibly bully her? I patted his hand, comforting him and also comforting myself. It's fine now. It was all a misunderstanding. It's been resolved, the barefoot doctor said to the crowd. Just now, a patient came to my house and said that Yi Jianping from Qinghe village had bullied the educated youth Su. He said the news had even spread to our village. But Yi Jianping has been getting in 4 drip at my place all along. I found it strange, so I brought them along to come and see if there might be some misunderstanding. The barefoot doctor and those patients can all testify for my younger brother, Yi Jianping. At the time of the incident, my brother was getting in 4 drip with them. With so many people providing evidence, Su Ping and village chief Wu Jingui had no choice but to back down. I smiled as I looked at Su Ping. Comrade Su, you have nothing to say now, do you? Comrade Su, don't worry. Chen Ergo bullied you and took your innocence. He did something wrong. Chen Ergo is a real man. He will definitely take responsibility and marry you. Ergo, isn't that right? Chen Ergo, yes, I'll definitely take responsibility. I'll marry this damn woman. Su Ping shook her head in terror, backing away repeatedly. I won't marry him, I won't. Chen Ergo raised his broken eyebrows. Damn woman, you pulled down my pants, rode on top of me, and now you want to deny it. I'm telling you, no way. Su Ping stubbornly refused to admit it, insisting firmly, I didn't, you damn woman, still refusing to admit it. Let me tell you, I've got plenty of evidence. Just now, when you were bouncing on top of me, I clearly saw a black birthmark the size of a fingernail on your right breast. If we hadn't done it, how would I know you have a black birthmark on your right breast? If you still want to deny it, then have someone check. We'll know the truth by seeing if there's a birthmark or not. As soon as Chen Ergo uttered these words, Su Ping knew she was finished. Village Chief Wu Jinui's face turned even darker than the bottom of a pot. I stepped forward and said, Village Chief, fellow villagers, Chen Ergo himself admitted to bullying Su Jiqing, but Su Jiqing says she wasn't bullied. This matter can't just be left unresolved. First of all, our Qinghe village is, after all, an advanced collective in the commune. If this matter isn't clarified, it could affect the collective honor of Qinghe village once it spreads. Secondly, once it's clarified, we can give Su Jiqing an explanation, and also give Chen Ergo an explanation. Don't you all agree? The crowd unanimously said yes. I added, as for birthmarks, you either have one or you don't. It won't just disappear out of thin air. How about I join the aunties in examining Comrade Su? Su Ping screamed repeatedly, I won't be examined. I won't be examined. Chen Ergo, his face dark, grabbed Su Ping as if lifting a chick. You wretched woman, you have no choice but to be examined. All men, get out. Yunnan and the aunties stay. Chen Ergo's strength was immense, and he immediately tore open Su Ping's clothes. Come and take a look. The aunties, with a mix of excitement and apprehension, turned their gaze toward Su Ping. I saw a black birthmark the size of a fingernail on her snow-white right breast, and Zhao, who always loved stirring up trouble, was the first to shout out, there really is the birthmark that Zhao Ergo mentioned. I walked outside the house and looked at the village chief without any courtesy. Village chief, we just agreed, whoever bullies Su Jiqing tonight has to marry her. Village chief, you wouldn't refuse to approve Chen Ergo's marriage, would you? Su Ping clutched the torn collar of her clothes, crying hysterically in despair. I won't marry Chen Ergo. I won't marry Chen Ergo. Village Chief Wu Jinui's face turned pale and then flushed with anger, glaring at me fiercely as if he wanted to tear me apart, yet he couldn't utter a word. No, I wasn't afraid of him in the slightest, pressing him aggressively with repeated questions. Village Chief, you were the one who said that earlier. Everyone here heard it with their own ears. As the head of our Qinghe village and a respected figure in our commune, you wouldn't go back on your word. Would you? Apart from Su Ping, who was still crying and insisting she wouldn't marry, the rest of the villagers all turned their eyes to the village chief, waiting for him to speak and make his stance clear. Village Chief Wu Jingnu felt deeply troubled. He simply couldn't bring himself to suggest that Su Ping marry Chen Ergo. Wouldn't that be pushing his own woman and child into a pit of fire? However, he had already spoken so firmly before. If he went back on his word now, he would lose all credibility not just in the village, but throughout the entire commune. Chen Ergo looked at the village chief, his tone threatening. What, village chief, you don't want to approve my marriage to this damn woman? I'm telling you, if you dare to stand in my way, Chen Ergo, will make sure you regret it. Anyway, this damn woman is already mine. She will marry me whether she wants to or not. If anyone dares to say another word, I'll smash their head open. The village chief immediately backed down. If he angered that mad dog Chen Ergo, his own head might not be safe either. Between losing his life and letting Su Ping marry Chen Ergo, he chose the latter without hesitation. Damn woman, come home with me. Chen Ergo stepped forward and grabbed Su Ping's arm, dragging and pulling her towards his own house. Su Ping struggled desperately, twisting and turning. No, I won't marry Chen Ergo. Village chief, save me, village chief. Chen Ergo didn't hold back either. In front of everyone, he raised his hand and slapped Su Ping 4 times, left and right. Slap, 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 slap. Su Ping's fair and delicate face immediately swelled up red. Bitch, you better remember this. From now on, I'm your master. If I tell you to go east, you go east. If I tell you to go west, you go west. If you dare disobey me, I'll beat you until you listen. Everyone in the village watched the scene, but no one dared to speak up for Su Ping. My younger brother Yi Zhangping lifted his right foot, wanting to step forward. I quickly grabbed his arm, glared at him angrily, and forced him back. The village chief frowned deeply, closed his eyes, and pretended not to see. Su Ping cried and made a scene, refusing to go no matter what, but her strength was nothing more than a tickle to Chen Ergo. He dragged Su Ping back like a dead dog, kicking open the broken door of the house. Chen Ergo threw Su Ping onto his dirty, smelly bed and eagerly pressed down on her. After all, he had been single for over 30 years, and finally, there was a woman to satisfy his cravings. Su Ping cried and wailed, screaming for help at the top of her lungs. Chen Ergo showed no mercy or tenderness, caring only for his own pleasure as he ruthlessly tossed her back and forth. The door to Chen Ergo's house remained closed for 3 days. On the morning of the 4th day, Chen Ergo, disheveled and in disarray, ran out of the house and hurried to the neighboring village to find a barefoot doctor. It turned out he had been at it for too long and too vigorously, causing Su Ping to bleed profusely from her lower body. The bleeding lasted for half the night. Seeing that something was wrong, Chen Ergo had no choice but to fetch the barefoot doctor to take a look. The barefoot doctor held his nose as he entered the foul-smelling room. After examining Su Ping, he said she had been about 2 months pregnant, but now she had miscarried. The villagers outside, who had been eavesdropping on the gossip, were all stunned. Su Ping had already gotten involved with someone and was pregnant, now. She had been forced into a miscarriage by Chinergo on the bed. Upon hearing this, Chinergo inside the house was first taken aback. Then, as he realized what had happened, his angry face twisted into that of a beast. He immediately slapped Su Ping across the face. "Beat you to death, you shameless woman. Tell me, whose bastard is this? I'll beat him to death." The barefoot doctor didn't want to get involved, but a life was at stake. So he had to hold Chinergo back. "Can't hit her. Can't hit her, she's very weak right now." The barefoot doctor offered a few words of advice, then hurriedly gave Su Ping an injection, left some hemostatic medication, explained how to use it, and quickly packed up his medical kit and left without even charging for the medicine, treating it as a good deed to accumulate merit. That very day, the news of Su Ping's miscarriage spread throughout the surrounding villages. Everyone was frantically discussing who was the man who got Su Ping pregnant. At the same time, everyone also realized, so Su Ping's act the other day was an attempt to frame Yu Zhanping for the child in her belly. Village chief Wu Jingui, upon learning that his child had been lost, turned as dark as ink, cursing and swearing at the village committee for half a day with his hands behind his back. But he was a coward, not even daring to step into Chinergo's yard to take a look. Chinergo was currently in a furious, rabid state, searching everywhere for Su Ping's lover. If he went, wouldn't that be admitting guilt without being asked? By then, even if you don't die, you'll be half dead. Half a month later, our parents, who were high-ranking officials, arrived at our Qinghe village, accompanied by the highest leaders from the provincial, municipal, and county levels. Father exuded authority without showing anger, while Mother was gentle yet resolute. Upon seeing us, Mother's tears began to fall silently. She touched my and my brother's faces, pulling us into her embrace. "Nan Nan, Ping Ping, it's Mom and Dad who let you down, but back then, your father and I had no choice for the sake of the revolution." The family of four was in tears. The leaders all advised one after another, "Chief, now that the two children have been found, the family will be reunited from now on. This is a joyous occasion, a truly great joy." Finally, Father Ding Jinyue spoke up. "That's right. No more crying. This is a great celebration for our Ding family. Let's be happy." Only then did Mother stop her tears, leaning in to kiss my brother and me again and again, her affection and joy overflowing. The villagers were all stunned when they heard the news. That same day, we moved with our parents to the government guest house in the county town. Before leaving, I gave the keys to my house to Sister Chanhua, asking her and Sister Chiuju to divide up the belongings in my home. The next day, my brother and I followed our parents back to the capital on a special train. On the day I left the village, someone had slipped a note under the dilapidated gate of Chinergo's house, with just 6 words written on it: Village Chief, Su Ping, Barn, Sister Chenhua, Sister Chiuju, and others from Qinghe village have kept in touch with me, maintaining a lifelong friendship. In their letters, they said that Su Ping and village chief Wu Jingui were caught red-handed by Chinergo while having an affair in the barn. The whole village heard the commotion and followed to the barn to see what was happening. They saw the village chief and Su Ping, both naked and entangled together. Chinergo immediately broke both of the village chief's legs. The village chief let out a scream and passed out, but afterwards, he didn't dare to go to the police station to report the incident and accused Chinergo, fearing that Chinergo might go crazy and fight him to the death. Su Ping was also severely beaten by Chinergo and suffered another miscarriage. This time, it's unclear whether the child was the village chief's or Chinergo's. Another reason the village chief didn't report Chinergo was to keep the matter under wraps. But such colorful romantic affairs spread the fastest. It quickly spread throughout the entire county. The county leaders felt the impact was truly too severe and could not be ignored. The commune then dismissed village chief Wu Jingui for misconduct and appointed a new village chief for Qinghe village. After the new village chief took office, the first thing he did was to verify the village's account books. This verification indeed uncovered Wu Jingui's serious embezzlement issues. Wu Jingui was immediately arrested, and after a trial by the county people's court, he was ultimately sentenced to life imprisonment and sent to prison. Su Ping's hard days were just beginning. Chinergo was usually lazy and gluttonous, fond of drinking, gambling, and smoking. When he drank too much, he would take out his frustrations on her, and if he was displeased, his fists would come down. One day, Chinergo was gambling with his disreputable friends and lost 4 big 10-yuan bills. He didn't have a single cent in his pocket and could only owe the debt, but the gambling buddy just smiled nonchalantly, even warmly stuffing 2 steel-making bills, 5 yuan, into his pocket. "We're all brothers. Keep this money. You don't have to pay me back what you lost. Just," Chinergo narrowed his small eyes. "Just what?" The gambling buddy leaned in close to his ear and whispered slyly, "Just let me have a go with Su Ping once." Chinergo's broken eyebrow shot up. And he flew into a rage on the spot. You're looking for death. But his gambling buddy wasn't afraid of him at all, grinning cheekily. Ergo, we've been brothers for so many years. That worn-out Shu Suping has long been slept rotten by Wu Jingui. Who cares who sleeps with her? Just close your eyes and pretend it was Wu Jingui who did it, and that's that. Plus, it'll cover so much debt. Don't worry, I won't tell a soul. When it gets dark, I'll slip into the bed in the pitch black. And I'll be out before dawn, no one will ever know. With that, she affectionately stuffed 2 steel-making notes, 5 yuan each, into Chen Ergo's pocket. Although Su Ping was considered a worn-out shoe, her face and figure still made men from all around drool with envy. Chen Ergo felt the 4 steel-making notes, 5 yuan each, in his pocket, pondered for a long while, and finally dropped a sentence, "Come over at 11 tonight. I'll leave the door unlocked." The gambling buddy chuckled slyly. In the middle of the night, he slipped onto Su Ping's Kong. Su Ping, terrified of Chen Ergo's beatings, mistook the man for Chen Ergo and allowed him to have his way. Once led to twice, twice to thrice, and thrice to many more. For several years thereafter, this became an unspoken secret among the gamblers and ruffians within a 10-mile radius. Sister Chenhua said that those men couldn't keep their mouths shut after drinking heavily. They would even boast and compare. Soon, everyone in the village knew about it, and the educated youths at the educated youth point were also aware. Only Su Ping was kept in the dark, until one night, 2 men climbed onto the Kong one after the other, and Su Ping screamed for help. Only then was the matter discovered. The 2 men covered Su Ping's mouth, saying that all these people had slept with her countless times. They also said that everyone in the surrounding villages knew about it. The next day, Su Ping jumped into the river and ended her life. Those who once schemed against us have all faced their retribution, one by one. As for my brother, Yi Zhanping, he returned to the military after spending 2 months in the capital. He worked diligently, studying various cultural subjects in the army, and was admitted to one of the top military academies. After graduation, he returned to the military, dedicating himself wholeheartedly to his work, achieving many accomplishments and receiving numerous promotions. He married the beautiful daughter of the military district commander, the very benefactor who helped us reunite with our parents, and they had 2 sons and a daughter. The couple was deeply in love, and their life was sweet. As for me, I stayed by the side of my parents, who were high-ranking officials. While taking care of them, I also immersed myself in the vast ocean of learning. In the first year after the college entrance examination was reinstated, I was admitted to Peking University. There, I met a second-generation official who was a perfect match for me, fell in love, got married, and gave birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. My brother and I each built happy and harmonious families, enjoying joyful and smooth lives. As for everything that happened in Qinghe village, for us siblings, it was like a passing breeze, long since blown away to who knows where. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.